All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have for you a treat. This is the third and fourth place match between the two underdog engines that could.
And that
we have Festive 5 and Fruit Slushies.
Really, like, we were able to cast and commentate matches from both teams. Right now, on paper, I think these teams are very evenly matched up. Wow, I think we could see the first Darius pick of the event.
For sure.
Definitely seen a lot of Amomu. Amomu instantly logged in. It's interesting. I know you and I, we have a lot of players that we play with in the Pacific Northwest, and I know in the Greater Seattle area we'll go to events, and we actually have a well-known Amomu player. But
yeah,
what I was going to say is that it's funny, we move from region to region, and we see a lot of similar picks within that region.
Yeah.
And, I guess this is more, in terms of bands, although I only see 5 bands.
Yeah, looks like I only have 5 bands as well.
The Shin and Alistar bands make sense. The Skarner one could be targeted. The Ken and Jax, I'm going to go ahead and say that first band was probably...
Nautilus. That'd be my guess.
Yeah,
Most people hate him up here.
Yeah, it could have been an old band.
Yeah. And there is that Pulse Fire Ezreal that we're going to see every game. Every game almost. Not last game, but this game for sure. And looking across, Grave Soraka, we've seen that recently today. The really only character that we haven't seen is Darius so far. We did get to see Urgot make an appearance. That's a more high-level competitive pick from a lot of teams. Looks like Shining Starlight is going to be rocking the Annie, possibly. And if he does, he's going to have a lot to live up to, because we saw Unbreakable play him. And Unbreakable had one of the best Annie. Obviously, he had the best Annie of the tournament we've seen so far.
Yep.
We had a pleasure to see. So, really, it's just that. And, talking to the Festive 5 team, they seemed like they really had a good idea, strategy-wise, of what they wanted for their team comps. I'm interested to see what they tried to do here. They need,
I actually
is this
don't know
APA mid Ezreal? Could it be? Maybe, possibly? No, it's gonna be Morgana. Okay, I was hoping something cute, but
I don't know how good Olaf does against Darius. We don't know if Darius is gonna be top or jungle.
Yeah.
At this point, I think.
I actually personally did not spend a lot of time playing Darius top, but what I liked in him as a jungler was the fact that even though I felt like I didn't have quite the same aggressive item build as I would have, with a Nocturne or something like that, I still felt like I did a lot of damage coming out of the jungle, especially with his ult dealing 2 damage in his stacks, the ability from his stacks. So, if they decide to run jungle, that's an interesting play. I can see
personally, I don't like him in the jungle. I feel that in lane, but it looks like we're probably going to see him in the jungle with that Vlad potentially locking in. Unless we see the very uncommon Vlad or Annie jungle, which...
Uh-oh, Malphite swap.
Okay.
They really like the Malphite.
I actually think Olaf has a good lane matchup versus...
He can do okay.
Malphite as well.
I think if he gets an early start so he can hit level 2 early, he's obviously going to want to max his true damage, which is the only thing that's going to be a saving grace that's going to allow him to actually deal with Malphite. But if he falls behind Malphite, Malphite's just going to walk all over him.
I feel like we're going to see I think we're going to see a Darius top. I think we're going to see a swap. So players do have 50 seconds to swap. Looks like I could be wrong. It's very uncommon to actually see the top lane get first picked. Unless maybe Shen, in the rare occurrence that there's a Shen.
Unless you're trying to bait something out, maybe. Maybe you would pick Darius and you expect them to try to counter with something, and then you would recounter. That's a strategy we've seen before since tops. Some top laners and junglers typically, they can be swappable.
But right now, just taking a look at both these teams, you've got Janna, who's somewhat a conflict of interest with Amumu and Morgana, but come on, it's Janna. Everybody loves Janna.
I love Janna.
She's, she can make it work.
#1 fanboy.
For the purple team here, I really, I like the Annie pick. I think Annie At high level, we don't see a lot of Annie, mainly because there are a lot of first casters with a kind of
More
a greater
utility.
range, utility
Yeah.
within their kit. But for a champion at this event, for the third place match, let's see it. I want to see, like, the Annie we saw from Unbreakable was great, as we commented on it before. I like, the synergy, of course, with Malphite. And potentially, if the Malphite Unstoppable Force and the Annie Tibbers doesn't quite get it done, you got Dunk Master Darius coming out, coming out of the jungle, probably going to be hitting a bunch of true damage alts. I mean, we could see a couple double kills, possibly a triple kill.
So it's kind of funny. I actually looked at the champions up here, and the one that caught my eye. We were talking about regions and who plays what. Is even in our recent judgment slot, people have been playing Blitz like mad. I see Blitz up there. We haven't seen a single Blitz.
Not one Blitz
in any of these competitive tournaments. I kind of wonder if it's maybe like a limitation of the players that are playing support. If they wanted to pick all safer supports like a Soraka, to try to win that bottom lane, because Blitz can be really effective, but it can also be like a danger, because if you kind of fall behind them, like your pulls are actually bad, like they just pull damage towards you. And maybe some of these teams weren't quite confident in it, but
now if we had Coach here,
yeah, we would see Jungle Blitz everywhere. Jungle Blitz online.
But in our Judgment BC event, we actually saw Blitz banned or picked in every match.
Yeah.
I wonder if it has something to do with LAN versus online competition, or just coincidence.
Yeah, maybe it's the format, or maybe it's the Victoria area. I mean, I don't know how many teams here are from Victoria.
A lot of those Blitz picks were. We do have the ISP kind of Victoria. They might be mainland.
Yeah.
But those guys go everywhere.
Yeah. Shout out to the international placements.
I think what we're gonna be bringing you guys are some player interviews, definitely from the top placing teams. We're going to get some player interviews going on before the finals and possibly after the finals, especially during the award ceremony. Right now, what we do know for prizes, I can't quite give out all the details. There's a lot of to-be-announced prizes. But from my understanding, I think the first place team playing for a pretty big ASUS prize, as well as I think some solid state drives are out there or as potential prizes. And I think third place is actually playing for like something called a fly drive or a 32 gig, some sort of drive. I'm not sure quite what it is, but it sounded really cool. And there's, again, on top of riot points and having a great time at an event, it's definitely, in my opinion, I mean, I'm currently just a spectator and a caster and a commentator, but I think if I were a participant, I would have loved to have participated in an event like this, especially at such a great venue.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are having a blast out here. And we got some good DJ music pumping in the downtimes. People are rocking out, while they're playing some video games. Anybody that's already been knocked out of a tournament, they're still playing games with friends and other people at the venue. So pretty awesome event so far at LANcouver 2012.
So our blue team, Festive 5. Our red team will
Fruit
be
Slushies.
Fruit Slushies. I know in a lot of our judgment events, we like to run a KDA contest. Callan, would you and I like to run a quick KDA contest? Is there one of these champions you'd be willing to bet a balls on, or a bottle of water here?
I have nothing to bet at this point except for myself. I could sell myself. If I was gonna pick someone to watch in this, I've kind of been a fan of. I guess I'd kind of be a fan of Darius, just because he has the potential that he could come out and land a bunch of Noxian guillotines and get a pentakill and do some crazy stuff. As far as do I think he'll have the highest KDA ratio? I don't know, but it would be a fun pick to watch because it's unorthodox. And I guess it would be something fun to just try to guess around.
Cool deal, cool deal. Well, for those that may be watching this at a later time and date, if you're in chat and this is a rerun, go ahead, type in the KDA and see how well you pair off. It'd be good practice for when you tune into our judgment events that we do run almost every week. You can always tune in or go to our website at RaiseYourWeapon.com for information on those events.
Or check out the stream on www.twitch.tv/RaiseYourWeaponMedia. You can follow us and get an email whenever we do go live with those tournaments.
But
But
enough
right
about
now,
us.
we have a sick match between two pretty even teams, and arguably, since this game is so even, it could be one of the best matches of the tournament, if not the best match of the tournament. We're just to see these teams play, and I can definitely tell you that both teams are probably going to have a lot of fun in this match. They're already dancing. They're already dancing to the music as we see around Wolves.
So this is post Darius nerf. Before the, I mean, I would say it's almost a patch, probably 2-ish weeks old, maybe 3 weeks old. Darius had a benefit to his ultimate that if he had killed a champion within 5 seconds after
using Nox and Guillotine, it would reset as opposed, yeah.
On top of that, there was a bug that was allowing like teammates' ultimates to also refresh. There, I know there were several YouTube videos of like Ash firing 3 arrows, like in and around team fights. So
it's pretty awesome ability, pretty sick ult right there.
I like Darius. I feel he's a very he has an aggressive play style in lane, where it almost feels similar to Renekton in a sense. Whereas I actually think Renekton's a great counter to Darius. But you have that easy to harass Q button, and what that does is it applies the bleed effect. And once your abilities start applying the bleed effects, you get that passive, or you get that speed bonus. And obviously pre-6, it's more of a great tool for harassing. But once you're at 6, there's nobody that can really trade with you effectively, unless they maybe have a spell shield and great reaction time.
So Darius possibly already heading up for gank. He has the double buff. Rotating up on to Olaf right here. Olaf's going to go and get a hit off. Malphite already in the HUD. Ignite is down. He's going to try to ghost out. He's going to be hooked into him. Will they be able to finish him off? He has some bleeds on him, but I think he's actually going to be okay and be able to survive this. Although we might see Darius camp this if he thinks Olaf isn't going to go back, but Olaf is going to blue pill right now and go back to base. And let's give Malphite some leeway here. Like I said, if Malphite gets ahead, I feel like he can actually kind of walk over Olaf.
I really like this play here. From the jungler, it's a very similar style of mine where, depending on which side of the map I start on, I typically play an aggressive style where maybe I save Smite, take my, depending on which buff I start with, go to my other buff, take that with Smite, and then go double buff, gank top, level 3. Usually you get there right about the 3 minute 15 second, and it's just kind of my philosophy, whereas first jungler to reach top lane with double buff is going to help snowball his lane the best. And I like to, I'm under the philosophy of getting my top lane and mid lane kind of situated or an advantage. And Mamu with a nice bandage toss here does have that double buff.
Looks like Olaf quite didn't know if he actually wanted to try to farm the creeps that are heading towards his turret, or if he actually wanted to pursue that and maybe go for a kill. I think he was torn a little bit indecisive there, but was able to pull it off. And looks like Darius already in the jungle again, all over Morgana. Morgana's trying to back out of this, and he's actually going to be able to take these Rays. Those are his Rays, Morgana, not your Rays.
And one thing to note here in this Malphite, his flash is now down. So Amomu did his job. He should have been lane. Your standard typical, that 4-minute clear where you finally clear your standard, you show up level 4 and you show up in lane. A lot of junglers, for example, they'll take clearing abilities at level 3 and then pick up that 4th ganking ability at level 4. That's a typical standard route. I do like junglers that have a real strong level 3 gank, especially if they can get double buff and rush to a lane where it's mid or top.
And Annie, all aggressive here, actually uses her flash and a stun. Darius is actually going to run here, gets his hook, gets the applied buff, and there's going to be first blood to Annie. But it looks like, Mumu is going to be able to convert a kill onto Darius there after that dive, and Annie's going to back off out of this. But Annie getting that first blood is going to help her in the mid lane. 24 CS to Annie's 40 CS. So Annie already doing a stellar job actually in CS over Morgana, which is already great, and she got first blood. So looking really, really good for the Fruit Slushies right now.
So I'm looking at this top lane matchup. Malphite still sitting on like 3 pots, so he shouldn't have to leave lane. It looks like Olaf will have to back out. Otherwise, if Malphite hits 6, it's going to be a good night, lights out for Olaf. But it looks like both guys going to back. A ward going down for Malphite. in the inventory, as well as a Philosopher's Stone. I really like the early GP for 10 item. Malphite just kind of wants to farm, kind of wants to get tanky. Eventually, he gets to the point where he's unkillable, has the ability to initiate. And right now, I think Darius making his way back into the mid lane.
Darius, the one to watch so far, has been making a lot of plays, helping his lane snowball, which is, very great. It's what he wants to do, and, I hope we get to see a little bit more of him, get to that late game, and possibly make some big plays. It's definitely what you want to see from Darius. It's like Blue already knows he is doing Raise, thanks to that forward ward from Morgana, I believe. On top is going to start, they're going to continue this trade war up here. Neither one actually running away at all or blowing anybody away with CS. They've actually had a lot of ganks in on them. They both had to back off and do different sorts of moves with each other. And they just keep trading back and forth. Darius waiting over here near Blue, possibly for something. Maybe he's waiting for a rotate to make his move, possibly onto Morgana, and they're actually going to be warded out right there. Nice little ward from Amumu.
Soraka nowhere nearby. Lots of summoners going down, and I think that last attack with the ignited tick, taking down Graves. That's kind of a situation you're like, I mean, it sounds like more of a communication situation where you're, hey, if you're the support, and you're like, yo, bot lane, I'm going back. Don't do anything stupid, like get caught out of position, and where it's like,
the way I see bot lane is it kind of reminds me of the stereotype. Actually, hold on a second. Malphite again coming here, just going to use his ult to get out of this. But it kind of reminds me of the stereotype of girls, where it's like if one goes to the bathroom, both do. It's kind of like bot lane. It's like if your support leaves or your AD leaves, you guys need to go to the Nexus together, go buy up together, because one of you by yourselves is actually a liability. It's actually, if the enemy team recognizes it, they can come in and zone you out, and you may not actually do anything by staying bottom or staying in lane. So sometimes it is good if you have enough room to push up a lane to actually just go back and buy together and then come back to lane so you guys make sure that you are safe.
Yeah, and I really think it comes down to that communication where it's like, hey, the support wants to go back and buy wards, but hey, I'm Graves. Hey, dude, I want to go back, but I really want to finish this Berserker Greaves and get a second Doran's Blade. So, maybe can we just hold out a bit? Obviously it's going to come down to experience in lane with your lane mate.
Yeah, I actually really like I've been watching Janna's bubbles right now, and she's actually been pretty on point with mitigating a lot of Graves' burst damage down bottom lane. So props to the Janna for F5 right now. They're doing pretty good.
Oh,
ooh, very, very close, but they just want to commit to this. They started it, and they're going to finish it. Olaf's going to be able to get out of here. Luckily, Darius rotating towards bottom to go on a gank there. Luckily, he wasn't in the top vicinity, but uh-oh, Counter-Struck is under attack. Going to get pulled while the Janna is going off. And sorry, buddy, but there's not going to be a lot of chance for escape here. And there's the Noxian Guillotine. As you're about to call out, count it. Ezreal having to back completely out of this, way too low on health.
So a little bit about that Amumu kill up top. Olaf did all the work. Not only did Amumu miss Bandit Toss, he missed his ult. And Olaf is like, well, screw it, I'm going in anyways. Puts out all the damage, and Amumu's like, I'll take that.
Men mode. Someone's got to finish
it.
it.
Maybe instead of being the sad mummy, Olaf is like, hey, yo mummy bro, we got this. I'm going to let you have this one. Just, come back and camp my lane.
As we continue to watch, what early was a pretty big advantage for Annie as far as farming went, has actually been evened up quite a bit. We actually have 81 CS to 86 CS. So there was a big discrepancy right there, plus the first blood. But Morgana's done a good job of actually catching up in the mid lane. She's going back right now. Annie might, inevitably, she is going to push this up. Looks like her ult is up. She's sitting on a Catalyst, probably going to want to rush a Rod of Ages, go that tanky Annie build. She has about 1,550 gold in her bank account, so she'll be able to go back very, very soon and finish that off. Just needs a little bit more gold.
I know, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of an Rod of Ages Annie. I know it's fairly standard. I like to build Annie as a glass cannon. I like to be able to fire off on my spells, get out, come back in, fire off another rotation.
Yeah. I think lane sustain wise, in this case, because it's Morgana, like I'm not too worried about Morgana harassing me. I think if I was against the Cassiopeia Zanny, I'd want the Catalyst more. But against the Morgana, I could see going more of a Glass Cannon build just because you're not expecting the greatest harass from her, that you're going to need this Catalyst to constantly sustain you in lane. And you get a lot of mana back from your Qs.
And plus you're going to want to, like, if opportunity presents itself, be able to bust through that Black Shield. So having that AP. Uh-oh. Morgana snuck
she actually,
in here.
ooh, not able to pick up the soul.
Vine.
Yeah, the Soul Shackle just barely not in range, and there's the heals coming in, but Amumu should finish this off. He gets his ult in. Graves now stuck. Slow by the Zephyr. Should be followed up by a Howling Gale very shortly. There's the pop-up, and it looks like Ezreal's actually going to pick this up, and they're both going to back off, head towards that bottom turret, and they might decide to take it down sometime in the near future, but it's only 12 minutes in, so it's a little early. Using his Arcane Shift to actually get farther away and not get killed by that turret. It looks like Annie rotating down a little bit too late, and it looks like Darius is actually taking over in middle, trying to get some XP possibly and push this lane up.
So, age-old question. You're in mid. Your lane mate's MIA. What do you do?
Well, it depends on what I think they're doing. I tell them one is their MIA.
Okay.
That's a good one. But the other one, too, you know, because I don't know if that was quite communicated because the rotation was super late. But, you know, you either have to push up the lane into their turret, deny them CS, and do something really hard like that. And number one is to make sure that the other lanes know that she's missing. And I think Soraka actually did a really good job actually avoiding a lot of the harass from Morgana and like what Morgana was trying to do there, because Morgana was actually trying to back off after she finished up, but there were so many people down there, including the jungler for the blue team, that really there was like no outs for them, and they ended up paying Deerfoot. The other thing you can do though is you can follow them, which obviously if she would have been able to follow Morgana, they possibly could have picked up a kill there. If Amumu's diving under a turret with that bandage toss, she definitely could have stopped him with a stun of some sort. I imagine she probably actually would have tried to duel with Morgana, who already would have had her ults down and stuff like that, and probably been able to, you know, get a really, really low or possibly kill her there.
Yeah, personally for me, I think it really depends on how quickly I noticed they were missing. You know, if I can, you know, if we have great ward coverage, then we're going to know if they're going to transition. And that's when I really want to be like, hey, like, that's why buying wards in mid is so strong. Because if you can catch your lane mate leaving the lane, that gives you it gives you more information to make a decision as to whether or not you should follow or whether you should punish them by forcing creeps into the enemy turret. They have decent ward coverage, but I feel like if I'm red side, I need to be having a ward at the enemy race, or possibly in that enemy, in that river bush, maybe both sides of the river bush. I found that to be fairly good. You can place more of aggressive or passive wards, but you're just having vision in that is always strong. And
we see the quick draw and the flash, but Amumu, great patience there, actually lands the bandage toss, putting a lot of harass on the Graves, but Soraka sustaining him through that, and Ezreal's not going to let Soraka be able to escape that. She's going to make her pay for saving Graves. And Graves is going to have to farm underneath his turret and try to be super, super safe. It actually looks like he has Annie and Darius. Darius has actually started Dragon already. He's going to need some help. It looks like Malphite is rotated down as well. Although the blue team coming up from the bottom might be in a little trouble here. Annie's zoning out a little bit, but I'm actually worried about Annie's position. Darius can't actually do Dragon by himself, and if blue actually would have collapsed a lot earlier, they actually probably could have got Annie in a lot of trouble. Annie flashing out of the Soul Shackle, and there's just no one's going to die here. Both teams going to back off. Ping's going back down onto Dragon. Maybe blue might decide to take a run at Dragon now.
Yeah, one of the things that surprised me was that Amumu's ult was already back up, and I was just realizing, like, that's kind of the power of blue buff. With that 20% cooldown reduction, you know, he used it when they made a gank attempt on bot, and they got that double kill. Next thing you know, he's back in bot lane after going back to base, and it's already off a cooldown. So definitely, you know, Amumu making plays, using that ult. You know, give it another 30-45 seconds, it'll be back up again.
Yeah.
And I would expect this Amumu to show up in lane, probably in mid. I think that's probably his next target. But right now, I like this. What this Amumu's doing. He's 3-0-2. You know, he's in 5 of the 6 team kills.
Yeah.
And as a jungler, that's one of the things I look for. It's like, hey, you know, maybe I don't have the kills, or maybe, you know, I'm not in every lane all the time. But you know, of my team kills, which ones were I a part of? You know, which one did I help facilitate? Although sometimes in solo queue, you're on the opposite end where every lane is losing and they want you to be everywhere at once. There's not much you
The
can
bane of the existence of junglers. Looks like Red just patrolling the dragon, making sure that it wasn't taken, trying to ward it out just a little bit. They know Amumu actually has an Oracle, so they're not going to try to pink ward anymore. Just going to throw down some wards to make sure they can catch them trying to go in. Amumu has gone back at this point. Looks like he has those gold pretend items. Looks like he has a chain vest in here, and he's just starting this tanky build up. Might go for a cloak of fire here as we're going forward. Meanwhile, Morgana just triple Doran's ring up in boots. Interested to see what she decides to go next. Hourglass pretty typical, but she could do anything at this point. She has actually she's matching Annie again in CS. Both of them, just keeping pace with each other. Probably one of the more even lanes we've seen so far. Looking at bottom lane, Graves is down about 3 kills. He's died twice. Ezreal definitely with the advantage down there. If we look at top lane, the Olaf Malphite pillow fight contest, it's pretty much even. I mean, there's the one all-in support assist from Olaf diving in there and getting a kill for Amumu.
Yeah, the Darius flash actually a little frantic. The Dark Binding had already missed. The Bandage Toss missed. Probably didn't need to flash there. But you know what? Sometimes it is better safe to be sorry. I was kind of hoping to see him pull someone over this wall, but they dropped a really nice ward. I actually don't think that was communicated because Graves is just chilling there like, aha, I got this. Wait a minute. They can see
This
me.
is totally a safe place. Oh, wait, dang it.
So Annie does have Tibbers up. She does have that stun ready. She's got Ignite and Flash. The thing is, it's a 5v. Oops.
Oh, wow. Great initiation onto her. And it looks like Darius is going to be the next target of affection. And right now, F5 is just cleaning up.
Yeah, they're going to turn this into a dragon. So they got 2 kills. They're going to turn this into a dragon. Most likely. I don't think Grave Soraka is going to want to contest this. Actually, this might be the best play. Just go ahead and take that mid turret.
Yeah, this is one of the first few games I've actually seen where I felt like Dragon wasn't decisive. A lot of the other games we've seen today, someone had an advantage. They were like, we're taking Dragon, and they took Dragon. Or, we have Dragon perfectly timed, so we're already here, and we're taking Dragon. Or, we just took Blue, and now we're going to take Dragon because we have this advantage. And here's like the first time we've actually seen two teams just kind of dance around it a lot, try to jockey for position. And ultimately, Blue team, paying off right there with a quick engagement, and, zoning Graves out just because he didn't know that ward was there and putting a lot of damage on him. And, great work by the blue team. And it looks like they're going to steal a blue buff here, possibly. Looks like red team doesn't want that to happen. But Darius, he knows this is going to go down. It's going to be possibly a 3v4 at this point.
Darius going to smite steal his own blue buff.
Which is pretty boss. If your AP can't have it, then you might as well have it yourself. Don't want to give that up. Looks like Soraka is actually banking a lot of wards right here. She has 3 normal wards and a pink ward. And just see, her throw those down very soon. Looks like red team actually doesn't really have any wards up on the board right now. As we saw, blue went through there. They've warded up the blue brush. Actually, no, they have one at blue. But besides that, blue has really just warded up this enemy jungle very heavily right now.
And we got Malphite coming in here on the enemy team blue buff. But that's not a great position for them. Darius is actually behind. You've got Morgana coming in. She does have mana. She does have her ult. Does have flash.
And here's going to be the heavy engage. They want to engage on someone. They're going to engage on Amumu. I don't know if that's going to be the best course of action. Amumu actually will fall right away. And now it's Olaf trying to tear down Andy. It looks like he might be successful. Ezreal into the fight now. Picking up Morgana, and it's all about Malphite now trying to run down Olaf, and he will run down. Here we go. Here's the patented fight. Malphite, the anti-AD versus Ezreal. He's going to be able to kite him, especially with his host of skills and a blue buff. And Janna defending bot by herself, probably not going to work out for her at this point.
So when you're in a turret, what do you do with Janna? Do you prefer to bubble yourself and then try to get more last hits, or is it wiser to just bubble your turret? just to prevent the damage?
It depends. You have to read your opponents. A lot of times, if you feel like you're behind and you feel like your opponents are itchy or what you're going against, and you feel like they might want to dive you, then you definitely don't want to bubble your turret, because bubbling your turret doesn't allow you to protect yourself. It also depends a lot on your mana, what you have in store. If you could possibly get a bubble back up in time, could you cast one, or do you have enough mana for your other spells? It's really situational. In that case, she's really just trying to protect bottom as long as she could, and she probably read that her opponents, with a Soraka, don't really want to dive because it pretty much all be on Graves to try to get in there and kill you, which she can burst you, but Jaina has some good ways of kind of disrupting that and staying safe, especially with her ult and stuff like that. So I think she was fine in that scenario. Just bubble up the turret and reduce damage and try to keep it up as long as possible. Because as we look here, the blue team actually has all of their outer turrets up at the current moment. See, the only turret down right now is that middle turret that they took earlier before they were looking at Dragon.
So Dragon's probably not, not too far away from respawning. I want to say that, it's possible we could see another team fight break out there. We're looking at the gold, deficit here, and it's, about 3.5k in favor of the blue team. That 5 kills, that could explain most of it, and I think it was the blue team that walked with Dragon. So, if you take that aside, the farm's pretty even, and right here there's some aggression on bot lane. Jaina had to pop flash and ult.
Annie rotating down, might be seeing a kill here. Ezreal just clearing this wave as fast as possible. Arcane shifts very, very quickly so he can get to safety. This bottom turret will fall. Annie just waiting in the brush just in case someone to get full hardy. Looks like Morgana just pushing mid a little bit in response to the fact that Annie has gone MIA. And with that pink ward, looks like Red's actually going to be able to clear out vision onto Dragon. Lots of pings go up top towards Malphite. I don't know if this is the wisest thing for Morgana to do. She doesn't want to push mid anymore, but I don't know if she quite has what it takes to actually take down Malphite at this point, especially if he's up by his turret. Looks like both teams just rotating, jockeying position, throwing down some wards here and there, trying to establish some vision. Looks like a lot of the wards still down around Dragon for both the blue and the red team at this point. Red sneaking a ward, standard ward over near the Baron side. Blue actually has a lot of wards up top, actually, in the Tri-Brush and in the river, which is pretty interesting here.
Ezreal getting a full combo off, but not actually hitting with much of it. Did send Graves packing. But you know what? Soraka gonna show up in lane and say, I got you.
Drive by heals OP. Drive by heals OP.
Oh, need some mana? I got that too.
What you need? I got you, bro. So Ezreal's kind of solo pushing this lane pretty hard, although he's going to have some support from Amumu and Jaina here in a second. Jaina definitely expected. Ooh, Soraka getting left kind of alone here. They should know that Graves actually has backed off and it's just Soraka here. Soraka's actually running for it, realizing that something's probably up. She's probably in a lot of trouble and she's going to have to give up this turret. It looks like Blue should push in here and take this bottom turret.
So, for Malphite and Amumu, both electing for Frozen Heart. We've got a Zhonya's Hourglass completed here on Morgana. So, these teams kind of electing for, hey, we kind of want a team fight, but we also want to make sure we have our R items, and we're tanky enough to do so.
Darius with another smite still.
Another smite still on his red buff. This guy getting really good.
He is the boss of the reaction times.
I don't know if that's
Amumu caught out here. Actually flashes in there, gets a great ult. Morgana's actually going to get a triple soul shackle there. Darius is going to fall in response, but coming back with Annie and Graves just laying down that AoE burst damage, just cleaning house right now. Actual arcane shifting over the wall to safety. I don't know if Jaina is going to be so lucky here. There's no turrets to protect her. The Howling Gale, not enough to protect her against Malphite. He's trying to run it down now, and that will be a red, or actually be a dragon for the red team.
Yeah, a 3-for-1. Darius, with the smite steal on his blue buff, eventually getting a little too deep and caught out of position and got picked off immediately. I don't know if I ever want to go for an Amamu, like personally.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like that Mundo. Like, you don't really want to waste anything on him. It's like
it's like blitz grabbing in a Moon. It's like, yeah, why bring the stud to your team?
So, with that, that trade in their favor, plus picking up Dragon, they're kind of reducing this Goldie here. Looks like Graves is going to rotate up. He's probably going to get a lot of top lane pushing. What would be really good for the red team is to get that mid turret. It's kind of holding them back in terms of opening up the map.
You see what's I'm just to try to decipher what exactly are these teams' plans. I feel like there's no main direction for either team right now. They're just kind of running around farming. They get a team fight that works out for them or not. But I'm wondering what's going to be the tipping point for each team. When are they going to finally try to make a move? It's going to try to close this game. Whether it's trying to get more objectives like turret or something like that. Besides farming their own jungles and just their own lanes.
Well, this is the first time these two teams have met, to my knowledge.
I believe so.
I think so. Based on the way pool structure works. So, I mean, this first game could be a lot of figuring each other out, trying to figure out, hey, because when we looked at the first and second place team, or the teams that are competing for first and second, they were showing us signs of, whether it was consistent aggression or right now these guys are more aligned, just kind of filling each other out. And I would expect that game 2 for each team to have a little bit more of a plan going into it, saying like, oh hey, this worked, this didn't work. And it's always nice to kind of go into game 2 with an advantage, so I can understand why teams will play a little conservative in their first match, especially if they haven't seen each other. Festive 5 was really good in the match that we cast with just being, just counter jungling and being active.
I think it was more when they actually played from the red side. I feel like their blue side is a little bit more passive.
Oh, that's true. That's true because they were really aggressive from the red side. But blue, they went for more of a farming when they ended up playing Karthus.
Yeah.
Ezreal putting on a little show, doing a little flight mode action for us.
Leveling up. He's hit level 16. Maximum Pulsefire Ezreal mode. We're doing a good job removing vision around Baron. Oracle's so key at this stage of the game. Vision is a huge factor in the late game, just trying to set up team fights and objectives.
Annie's going to be careful. She doesn't want to lead the charge in towards the Baron. They do have an Oracle here.
Yeah, I don't like her positioning quite much right there. That's very scary if I was Annie. Like, there's so much brush that could hide so many dangers.
Right now, the key is having Malphite. Wherever you go, wherever you run, first off, you should be grouped up. Because, Morgana's not going to blow you up immediately, although you do want to be careful of a Mamu. But Malphite should be taking the lead. For your tanks out there, your aspiring tanks and tanky players, anytime you're playing in the team format, it's like, hey guys, get on me, follow me, stick together. Like, you want to be able to communicate that. Mainly because you don't want to have one of your squishies kind of leading the direction.
This is the most harassment, the most free harassment I've actually seen on a main tank in a long time. Because there's no response from the red team. They're like, yep, Malphite's just gonna have to be at half health. That's his lot in life. Soraka trying to heal him up a little bit. Looks like blue might try to start a Baron or set up an awesome super gank here. Unfortunately for them, there is a ward in Baron, so red knows that Baron is not being taken. I think if that ward was gone, red might actually try to make a move, and this could be actually a really good move, except for obviously,
sweeping Baron and baiting 101.
Yeah.
Make sure Baron pit is clean.
Yeah. It's not going to work out for them. Looks like they might be pinging up here. I think they're up in that forward brush there. Oh, Graves.
Backing out. Graves.
Ooh, I don't know if he saw that Morgana. I don't think he did.
Oh, I think they, two ships passing in the night. But yeah, red team's like, I don't know where they are, but they're not doing Baron.
And that's all I care about. So Blue, you know, spend a little time there.
It's funny because I'm almost gonna be. I'm like, oh,
sad. Turn on your tears. Turn them off. Turn them off. Turn them off.
Now they should run back in and be like,
Yeah.
get back in our spot.
And Soraka's like, no, I see you. I see you. Oh, wow, they actually catch Malphite, which is not exactly who they want to catch again.
Oh, okay, he's gonna flash. He didn't use his ult. He had options. He could have ulted that, or he could have flashed. I think in this situation, flash was the right choice.
Yeah.
Because I believe an engage is coming, and then he's going to want to use that ult to potentially initiate.
Yes, definitely. That's what we're looking at here. As we get further, Soraka again being annoying, warding Baron yet again, and Annie again not quite in the best position. She's actually going to get caught here. Olaf trying to run towards her, trying to get this kills. Timber's actually going to come down, probably going to pick up a Moo. Moo will fall. Soulshine going to go off, going to catch 3 members of the enemy team. Jan actually might be saving Malphite a little bit, though. No, Malphite will fall. Olaf getting picked off next. And it looks like Darius is backing off out of this fight, flashing back, and all that is left is Ezreal and Janna, the bot combo, right there. A 3-for-1 in favor of the red team. Red team just doing really, really good here, and you know, playing the waiting game a little bit better than the blue team right here.
Yeah, I think these teams, they've started to realize. I think impatience is kicking in. This is the 3rd match for these guys today. They did get a break between 1st and 2nd round, but they're playing 2nd round and 3rd place match back to back. So,
yeah,
frankly, like, you know, both these teams, they won their first round 1, like sweet,
yeah.
and then they got crushed.
Yeah.
By the 2 teams competing for the championship match. So, I think the morale from both teams was like, hey, let's just get this over with. Let's play. Yeah. And instead of making calculating decisions and maybe putting a strategy together, they might be like, "Hey, I'm a little tired. You know, I'm ready to, you know,
I'm ready to get this over with. Let's go do this." Although if we look at the gold scores, only 1 kill difference and maybe a 200-300 gold team difference. So these teams are actually pretty much dead even at 33 minutes in, which is a good thing to see. Like we said, we thought these 2 teams were really evenly matched, and lo and behold, the numbers are proving it out.
I think tomorrow's match between the two top teams are also evenly matched. So I can't wait to actually see the conclusion of this match and tomorrow's match. I think we're going to see a lot of good League of Legends come from these 2 matches upon the conclusion, and with the conclusion of LANcouver. And I think so far everybody that I talked to has had a pretty good time. We have, the connection issues have been unfortunate, but I think those are expected. I mean, these are a pretty big LAN event. And
yeah, I mean, it just goes with the territory.
I don't think anybody's been.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's been wronged, and luckily we do have a pause feature in our game, so I think all is good and fair so far in these tournaments. I think back when we were at GotaCon, Riot hadn't given us this pause feature. It was a little more detrimental to teams that have disconnects and stuff like that. But now, it makes your tournament run a little bit longer, but you can still have games, not have them be completely out of hand or ruined, by connectivity issues.
So I think for what Olaf, alright, so Olaf build not quite finished. I know what he's kind of working on, but ooh, I think they saw Morgana slightly out of position, but they had a ward to cover it. Didn't realize there was also a ward. Oh, Soraka walking over. There she goes. Actually, I think they'd be happy to let Morgana split push while they go take Baron.
So one of the things I'm actually excited for at LANcouver is after we wrap up this 3rd and 4th place match, we actually will be running a live version, or possibly pseudo live version of Judgment. If we get 40 people here, that'd be great. I expect we might be able to do that. If not, we'll have a few online people, but we'll have the captains live, the players here. It should be a fun event for everyone. I'm actually excited to bring kind of the online event to a live scenario, and it gives these players after they're done with these games a little fun twist or game to play while they're here at this LAN, because that's the point of the LAN is there is the tournaments, but the other side of it is to go get swag, go do vendor boost, and hey, play in some other fun games or tournaments with some new people.
So I'm not sure what happened with the communication or why people started to forget about Baron, but blue team taking complete advantage of this. Looks like they're gonna get Baron uncontested. Baron about 3,000, 2,000.
Malphite wants to go in.
Not going to be able to get the
Sorry
steal.
to tell you, buddy, but
Probably
you're a
should get
little
outta
bit
here.
late. Tibber's coming in. Jana, really quick ult out. Malphite's going to ult back in. Studying the team very, very well. And Annie might be able to get out of this. This is really close. Soraka trying to heal her up. And Malphite just sticking there, constantly doing damage. He hasn't been killed yet. Not killing coming in. Oh! Looks like he's not quite prepared, and it looks like Ezreal able to pick up some kills. Ezreal actually has gone godlike, 7-0-5 right now. Counter-Strike trying to get out of this. I don't think you're going to be able to make it, buddy. And Ezreal's going to be the lone survivor of this. So they did it. We're able to take Baron. And then after all that fight is done, we're back even in gold at about 36 minutes in.
And now Baron not having something you need to worry about.
Yeah. He's off the table, and I'd really like to see one of these teams, just start to put a plan together and just start to try to take turrets or find a way to take turrets so they can get, towards, taking advantage of the enemy's junglers and buffs and, gaining an advantage. Because really both teams have kind of stalemated a bit. I like this push from Red. They realize that their enemy's down long enough now that they're able to actually take 2 turrets in mid, which is a good way to actually spring up some gold advantage. We're getting late, so, a 2k gold advantage isn't the biggest thing in the world. But it's a start. It's a start for the red team. Just try to get some sort of advantage here. I really do like the Malphite ult in there. After he got blown away and come in there and cause some commotion, he was able to ult back in. He was able to just kind of hang around and just keep doing consistent damage because he wasn't getting taken out in the collateral damage because he is so tanky. Yeah,
that fight went a lot better than I thought it would. I thought for sure that Malphite and Annie were a little too far away from their team, but they were able to really get off their spells and hit the right targets so that Graves was able to clean up. And Darius actually, I believe, had quite possibly the easiest triple kill, and for whatever reason missed it, or I guess Graves got the kill. And so that I thought for sure we were going to see that triple kill. He did pick up a double kill.
And looking at this Olaf again, I think it's pretty much the same place where we were before. It looks like he's going for the Force of Nature. And he's really just going to not quite deal enough damage. He's still trying to do the cruise missile thing, run towards enemy carry, but as we saw there, he just kind of gets picked up in the collateral damage eventually. Once his ult wears off, he's really not that big and huge of a threat. You can peel him easy. You can kill him. He needs to get another damage item so he can deal more damage. It's a common thing we've actually seen with Olaf players, and just the guides in general. I mean, if you go to Low Pro's guide, I'm pretty sure they tell you to go, this build with Force of Nature, and you can kind of manage things. But this build to me strikes me more like a win while you're ahead build, and not like a win while you're even or possibly behind build.
So Shirai's River coming in, but Annie getting caught with that Dark Binding.
Good little ult there, actually picking out both the tanks. Some burst damage coming in, but it's not on quite the correct targets. And Ezreal, the cardinal mistake. Arcane shifting into the enemy team. Not the best. Not the best.
Yeah, I mean, the Graves ult didn't really do much. The Malphite ult really didn't catch them that far out of position. Didn't really quite hit that many targets. Didn't even touch Ezreal, actually. Ezreal was just like, I'm going in! Oh, wait a minute.
Whoa, I'm giving up my godlike bonus. Whoops.
So I see it looks like teams are going to kind of return to respect it. Like, it looks like Graves should just push top. This is great. The rest of the team can go ahead and grab Dragon. I think once this is done, they should sweep Baron and actually get ready for the next Baron to fight. Red is starting to creep ahead. They're catching the blue team almost falling asleep, I think.
Yeah.
Especially with that play from, Ezra wasn't playing good all game. It's his first death, right?
Yeah.
He's at 300 CS. It hasn't really made that many mistakes. Actually, hasn't made any. And that was kind of the first mistake. So, it's kind of a wake-up call. Needs to probably slap himself in the face while he's got, that really long respawn time. But the next team fight will be at Baron. And it really, if Ezreal can position well, he does have that quick server sash. I think it's anyone's game at this point. I think Ezreal's been playing great all game. The Morgana, she's working on that Rabadons. If she could have that Rabadons complete before the next Baron fight, that would be a tremendous help. It looks like Malphite now has a Guardian Angel. And I think it looks like Ezreal is working on a Last Whisper, which would be super beneficial. The faster Ezreal gets that last Whisper, the more they can actually deal with Malphite walking up and making a mean face.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, when I kind of look at these teams, like, yeah, there's Morgana's actually going to be able to pick that red one. She's been kind of behind here, definitely in her build. If you look at, you know, where the gold is stacked on her team, she only had 1 kill, 7 assists. Ezreal's been, you know, mostly the guy that's trying to carry this blue team. And just mentally, when I kind of like watched these last few engagements, I felt like, you know, the one at Baron was kind of like mentally probably set them off a little bit. And I'm sure even though it's a close game, they definitely have a chance. I think the way they're playing, they definitely feel like they're really far. I think they're playing like they're behind, like they're really behind, as opposed to really, you know, the reality is they're 5K behind at 41 minutes, which isn't a whole lot.
Yep, not really a big advantage. I mean, you can tell that Last Whisper Phantom Dancer is complete for Graves, but if you look at Ezreal, he's got IE, he's got Triforce,
yeah,
he's got his defensive item. The Last Whisper, once he completes that, he'll be just as even, if not ahead of Graves, in terms of items, in terms of damage output. Annie is definitely ahead of Morgana. She's got Rod of Ages, she's got Abyssal Scepter, she's got Rabadon, she's got an Elixir. Annie is doing quite the overall damage. I would say this is the biggest problem I have with Olaf, is that he really just doesn't do enough in team fights. I think it's going to come down to Olaf being sneaky. Like, Olaf just can't be in lane when the team fight goes down. He's got to come from an angle and just like, I can't quite flash into your back line. I could ghost him, but that's not going to be enough.
Yeah. He really wants to get in there, but the problem is, like, he's never, I don't know, like, when you see these tanky builds, he's still never quite tanky enough. Like, when all is said and done, it's like, just, I don't know if it's like people got shied away from Atmas after it got nerfed, or what necessarily the deal is, but I'd like to see more Atmas, like, in these builds like this. Maybe that's what he's going to go for now. He bought another Chain Vest. But I feel like it just comes, like, too late in the build of a lot of Olafs like this.
Right now, it's a test of patience because Baron has spawned. Blue team does know Baron's up. Red team knows it's up. I honestly, like, I want to see, like, desperation, like, just push bot lane.
And look, we have the reverse situation here. The red team being like, oh, lucky for them, that ward did fall, and now they're actually going to have to take a look at this. Going to land a Dark Binding. But I kind of find it funny because it was like the reverse situation where, like, Baron's warded. They know you're not doing Baron. They know where you are.
We're these guys have an opportunity to do it quickly. They have these wards. They have vision. They know they're not in the area.
Oh, they're going to start it. Will blue team get there in time? Will they be able to stop this Baron?
You got to keep attacking. Oh, no. Looks like someone called for a retreat.
Oh, they might be able to set up something pretty cool here. Malphite is leading.
Graves, what are you doing? I guess he's getting just a better position. The good news is they can wait this out. There's a massive creep wave pushing bot lane. They'll probably pick up that turret. Good ward. Ooh.
Good ward just to check. They do know where each other are, but again, like you said, that bottom lane is pushing out here. I should be able to probably put a lot of damage on this turret. Don't know if it's quite going to be able to kill, but yeah, you know, Baron's definitely be, you know, the hot contested location so far in this game. It's like Red might be just pushing down mid just to buy some more time, push in there, keep blue, you know, in the defensive position underneath their turret.
I would probably consider maybe rotating down and taking that outer turret. I feel like if I'm the red team and I force them to commit to a fight that's outside of a base turret, I think I have an advantage. And let's say maybe we do trade, we get into a team fight, but we trade it up and it ends up being like 3-2 in our favor or 3-1 in our favor. We're still going to walk away with Baron.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, that could be a little too risky at this point if you don't know exactly how far ahead you are or how confident you are in your team fighting abilities.
Oh, wow, there's all right there, picking up 3 targets. Amumu coming in here underneath the turret. Annie trying to back out. This getting tons of heals in response, and Olaf just dying right there in front of it. And red is all up right now. It looks like Malphite will be able to catch and finish off Ezreal possibly. Janet definitely gone, and there is the ace. And that probably is game if red actually wants to clear out these turrets and press in. It looks like they will clear out this bottom turrets. Definitely get bottom inhib for this. Most of the enemy teams down for 45 plus seconds. If any other lane was pushing, they would be able to get another inhibitor probably if they will. They probably rotate Malphite over. They want to get an inhibitor. The one thing they will have to be careful of, they can't waste too much time because they are low. and possibly have the Desperation Baron move, you know, after they try to blue pill back.
like
It
this
looks
play.
like they might go to the house. They have enough time, 25 seconds, good call right now, and they will be able to take this down. GG's.
First game, gonna
Fruit
go here
Slushies.
to Fruit Slushies.
Yeah.
Kind of an upset in my book. I really thought Festive 5 would have.
I thought they had the early game. I thought they had the early game, and I was expecting them to kind of win this game based on that. But, you know, Fruit Slushies proving us wrong, and it was a very, very close game all the way up till, you know, Fruit Slushies finally got the confidence, finally won that Baron fight, and was able to take it and snowball it.
So these two teams got a best of 3. This is game 1, so they're going to jump ahead right back into game 2. And so we're going to be looking forward to bringing that game to you right here